Alright, guys, just like that, we are back with episode 8 of season 3, Ether Drift Theory. So, this episode is very strange. Imagine that. In this episode, we have this premise where Trevor's made this laboratory. It's floating in some kind of fluid. It's an experiment in morphology, in a controlled environment, an ecosystem. And I have to talk about this, even though it's insane. When have I ever done that before, right? There's a crazy theory about Earth, that it's flat. I don't know if you've heard about this. It's kind of been gaining prominence because people are demoralized and going insane because of economic factors and social factors. But this series traffics in it because this environment represents an interpretation of Earth, a very ancient one, that it was a flat disk with a dome over top of it. In this interpretation, it's not the same, it's a cube. Isn't that funny that they picked a cube? But the shape of the environment, Trevor's artificial experimental environment, doesn't matter. What matters is that it's surrounded by this paralyzing fluid that behaves a lot like outer space. It freezes you, it paralyzes you, it kills you. Deep water will do the same thing. So, Aeon and this friend of hers are trying to save this chick's boyfriend, Aeon's friend's boyfriend, who is working for Trevor. So he's on Earth. And I want to talk a little more about the interpretation because I think it's interesting. If you look at Earth as a controlled environment, a kind of experimental zone, a kind of limbo in religious terms, but in scientific terms, the equivalent would be some kind of controlled experiment, controlled environment. Also, this is the entropy event in this episode. There's always an entropy event. There's always a mistake. Aeon drops a bunch of bullets, and they go all down these pipes, rattle around, and one of them pokes an egg out of a dead lizard, and the egg flies down. It's like a Rube Goldberg machine. It's reality. It's probability. It's random chance, chaos. Anyway, this little environment, if you interpret Earth that way, it's kind of interesting. Because if you look at Earth like a dome sandwiched between water, or in my view, my madman fantasy view, the cool, fun science fiction way to interpret the flat Earth is we're on some kind of huge planet, and we're on the bottom of the sea of that planet. Like we're under the ice crust of Europa or something. Some giant version of Europa. And if there's water above us, in some kind of dome, creating a waterless space, what creature would have initiated that experiment? It would have been some type of Cthulhuoid, creepy squid thing that's doing experiments in morphology. And that's something that comes up in... there's a short story called The Things by Peter Watts, where it's the thing written from the perspective of the monster. And the monster's looking at humans and going... There's a line from that where the monster says, human beings are so fucked up and strange to me as an alien that they look like an experiment in morphology. So it's sort of like it's calling back or summoning up these types of ideas, that Earth is this little petri dish. And that's what this episode is doing too. It's an experiment. And the people involved in it, they're being infected by mistake, they're studying viruses. And when someone tries to break into the experiment, when some demon or some angel tries to break in to rescue someone or pull them out, it's a very tricky process. This guy's been infected. He's got black parasites eating his cells, and he's like, don't touch me, I'm fucking infected. She goes, this is why I came. She doesn't care. She's like, I know you're infected, but I don't care. She thinks she's above the realm she's entered into. And Trevor's got these creepy-ass robots, man. These things look like nightmares. They're so fucking strange, man. Their design is just whack. She goes, oh, Aeon will save us. Lilith will save us. She'll pull us back to our sweet home in hell. And again, we've got a fish in a tank. What does that remind you of? Something in an artificial environment. This Trevor's ship straight up like 3D prints them. It has to liquefy them, and there's this boob machine. It's like angels or demons having to inhabit human bodies. That's what this is a reference to. They get literally 3D printed into their actual bodies, but they have to be liquefied first. It's so fucking weird, man. And Trevor's like, they're disrupting my little Luciferian hell pod experiment. Shiva, you will help me. It's literally a chick with extra arms. And she's flexing for the viewer. Very epic. The Republic's tax dollars hard at work. I love that insane, surreal religious imagery, and then he just rubber bands right back to, oh yeah, it's the Republic's tax dollars. And then immediately she gets attacked by wasps, but they're one of Trevor's experiments, and he knows this. They're attracted to metal. And Aeon's found these other bullets in a weird bag somewhere, and they won't fit her gun. And again, like losing her other bullets earlier, her normal ones, she just tosses them into a gutter. And he goes, what do you know about this woman? Is she Lilith? Is she Sophia? You have no idea what her affiliations are. There's little gremlins taking the bullets. Oh, they're eating them. Ooh, the greys. They're like, thank you for feeding us. We eat bullets. You've just opened our food bag. It's literally what it's trying to imply. She hopped into this room that was this zoo chamber of Trevor's on this weird experiment place. And this will corrupt your whole view of Earth. Like every animal is like an experiment. You know, sharks are weird, sloths. What the fuck is the case with all these weird creatures? Again, it reminds me of that episode of South Park where Earth is revealed to be a reality show that's also a zoo. You know, it's like having a live stream of a zoo for some other type of being. And of course, the robots have combined. They've Transformers themselves, Optimus Primed themselves into some kind of very tall, very creepy, spindly thing. They're navigating all these golden hallways. Oh, all the paths of life. My God, all the choice. Too bad you're trapped in a cube no matter what you choose. Fuck you. Choice is an illusion. Reminds me of Solaris. There's a great line from the remake where Jabarian's character goes, he's talking to George Clooney, and he says, there are no answers, only choices. You're in a labyrinth, you're in a contained experiment, you're fucked. I think the only way out is, there's no easy way out. You gotta mutate yourself into something that breaks the experiment. You gotta become Neo and threaten to break the whole experiment. Then they'll finally take you out of it. But there's no guarantee you're going to go somewhere better, man. You're not going to go to heaven, you know. You get removed from this experiment, you're just going to be floating in the paralytic fluid, you know. Maybe it's better to be in the experiment. If you are an experiment, experiment. She's just another variable. And again, if you remember, there are clones of Aeon. And there are clones of Trevor. So this, because we know the original Aeon is dead. If you watched my commentary, you'll know that. This is an Aeon clone. And so Trevor's dealing with this rogue scientist, the infected guy, and here's his audio diary where he conveniently admits to orchestrating a prison break. And then again, we have this fake narrative about sex. There's no sex going on here. It's eyes wide shut. It's just a piston functioning. It's just a machine. There's no meaning to it. Your vapid heroics are contaminating my balanced ecosystem. God damn, man. If you were Lucifer trying to manage hell, an angel coming down would be exactly that, a contaminant. And reverse it, too. If you were some god, demon coming in would be... He goes, I don't know how this squid thing works. She's got a crab claw. God damn, man. They're just playing. This whole reality is just a playpen for the divine. That's all it is. Demons, angels, whatever else. Machine elves. Take your pick. Select a term from the Tower of Babel, because they all refer to the same things. There's 500 terms in each language that all refer to the same fucking thing. And he goes, I want to... We melt our bodies together. The two become one. The Twin Towers become the Freedom Tower. Men and women have sex. It's a sex ritual. He's like, we'll do that to get out. And then, of course, they see this with no context. These two rubes see them, and they think, in an eyes wide shut sense, oh, it's all about sex. They're just fucking. And she goes, oh God, Aeon's betrayed me. I instantly changed my opinion about her. What a fucking idiot. Maybe knock on the door and confront them. What do you have to lose? You're about to die anyway. Fucking hell, man. And she's got no way to convince them, man. They're just going to think she was fucking him. They're just going to be mind wiped by sex. Sex is like a... Sex is a more powerful drug than any drug. It just turns your brain into soup. Makes you ruin your whole life. Now, Aeon spills a particular drink here. And she's eating shrimp at the sushi bar, you know. It's good stuff. I'm sure it's good. There's all sorts of aliens and vampires and weirdos checking this shit out. The green guys, they don't like this. They're like, those shrimp resemble our yarn too much. But fuck it, we'll eat them. The habitat was my dream. It's like some Cthulhu-type guy dreamt up this whole place. It's like some squid alien creature that uses its bioluminescent tentacles to replicate what we call stars has dreamt up this whole fucking place. It's all just a bunch of bullshit and illusions. But it's not convenient illusions. It's not comforting explanations. It's weirder than you can imagine. It's so weird it'll drive you nuts. It's why you don't know it. Why you'll never know it. Sheep shearing visionary. She's calling him a false prophet. She's calling Trevor a false prophet, which he is. He's just fucking around. She's got parasites, man. And she's like, oh, the sexual imagery is the real evil. And it's like, no, the real evil is being ridden with parasites. I'm pretty sure that's the true evil. If you're gay, it's, you know, could be influenced by parasites, sure, but it could be psychological. It could be a choice. It could be an experiment. But if you're ridden with parasites, it doesn't matter what your other proclivities are. You're still ridden with parasites. You're still fucked. You can be straight and be full of worms. Sexuality is no indicator of purity. Sexual deviance is no indicator of a lack of it. That's a red herring. It's a ruse. Oh, the metal key the wasps want. Ooh, it's too late. This is a very bleak episode. Straight up. And I think the Aeon clones know they're clones. And these guys are so cooked, man. They've been eating gutter oil for 10 years. Their body is 90% insects. It's 90% worms. They're fucked. Oh, robots are after you. The drones are after you. This guy's succumbing. His liver's being eaten by parasites. He can't even move. My God. The robot is going to kill you both. Oh, but he steps in the acid. Ooh. Ooh. Fucked by entropy and chaos and random chance yet again. It's almost like that's how miracles manifest. Talked about this before. Random chance and random mistakes. That's where the divine shows itself. If you make a mistake and it turns out to be a good mistake in retrospect, that was God interfering to save you. Oh, the green goo, it's dissolving everything. And again, this was all a result of some reptile egg mixing with some cocktail from a bar. Like that's the literal event that happened, but the surrealist implications of it are just fucking insane. I mean, this show is like barely contained madness. That's why I love it. It's so good, man. Oh, she's got Thor's hammer from the Avengers. Can she get the key? Ooh, yes, she has it. She's got the key. Fuck yeah. Oh, don't touch that shit. Run out. These two characters, they're so sickly they can't even break out. She saves them. Trevor saves them. My brand new petri dish. I made this flat Earth biodome disc underwater on our cephaloid Cthulhu megaplanet Europa, and you've just fucked it up. How could you? You were doing experiments with parasites, and I charged you to do it responsibly, and you didn't. You got infected. You're an idiot. I gotta take Trevor's side in some sense in this, man. I mean, this scientist guy was kind of a moron. How do you get infected with your own stuff? He's like, oh, it was a bad batch. Oh, yeah, okay. You were shooting heroin and you took a bad batch. I mean, there's no excuse for that shit, man. Poor Trevor. There's people who are like Trevor fans in this, who say that Aeon is objectively evil. It's episodes like this that, you know, you got a point. The undetectable parasites that Western medicine can't remove from you will kill you within about 5 minutes. If you meld with me, the melding process will kill the parasites. That's what he's saying. He's basically saying sex kills parasites. Very strange message. Strange subtext in that scene. Don't think that's true. But in this episode's bizarre, surrealist context, it's true. She's simping for her dead BF. I mean, you know, poor chick. She came in and risked her life just to get this guy. And Trevor's like, just fuck me and it'll all be over. My Anunnaki blood will cleanse you of parasites. I have a natural resistance to these things. Notice how I haven't been infected despite having touched you several times during this. Cats always land on their feet, but there's no floor. Damn, that's good, man. What a great line. It's fucking great. Again, this is a fucking cartoon. It's a glorified cartoon. It has better writing than most live-action productions these days. A fucking cartoon is dabbing all over you. She's like, oh, idiots. They're not idiots. They escaped. You tried to look for the golden key, and you left. And oh, but she's got the door opener. Maybe she can get to the ship. Oh, this is so hard to watch, man. It's like one of those videos of like Like the guy climbing the tower, and it's like, wait till he gets to the top, and then he never does. That's what this shit is like. It's like OCD trolling OCD viewers. They give us so much hope. Aeon's like, oh, I'll strip my stockings off for you and give you some foot shots. Am I going to survive? Oh, it's very epic. Again, this is just one of Aeon's clones. There's maybe a dozen of them. Who knows? But she's fucked. The paralyzing fluid. Ooh, the Saturnian cube of reality has crumbled, and you are now one of its victims. Oh god, the key and the fucking thing. They almost touch. It's like Aeon almost had a child and lived a normal female life, but she chose not to, so now she's suspended in the void forever. Ooh, very spooky. Very spooky episode, guys. Thank you for watching. The episode is over. My commentary is over. Hope you're doing well in your life. Hope you're staying happy and healthy, however you can. And, guys, as always, peace out. And stay out of my little dome environment if you don't belong there. Don't try to do any experiments with parasites, or the whole thing just might crumble to nothing.